Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, welcome to a weekend video. And in this video, I'll be going over a lot of stuff. It's probably going to be a lengthy video. I'm going to be going over the DXY, tether dominance, S&P, and IWM, NVDA, Coinbase, Bitcoin, Solana, Droop, Dogecoin, and Bitfarms. Okay, so just let's get straight into it. I'll be first going over the DXY. Okay, so I'm on the 2 week time frame, and as you can see here, we had a 2 week candle close under this pennant formation. Okay, so that's a bearish close, that's a bearish break. So far in the short term, the DXY is getting a bounce off the 50% retracement of this range, which is expected. Okay. Meanwhile, on the 2 week, money flow is coming out. Okay, view up is negative, confirm red dot, and stochastic is also pointed down to the downside. Okay, going down to the 1 week, again, money flow is pointed out and about to go negative here, probably next week. And the weekly time frame, again, candle closes outside of this pennant, so bearish closes, also bearish closes inside these candle wicks here, which were prior lows. Okay, it's a bearish break. You have the weekly 21 and 50 EMAs acting as resistance now, starting to curve down. Okay, so more likely than not, in the coming weeks to months, the DXI will trade lower and likely in the bottom half of this range under the 50%, which will be at a level, the first level after the 50% is going to be at 102, and then at 101, right around there, somewhere in the 101s, which is the 200 weekly EMA. And you can also see a DXY around 99 in the coming months, right? It's a slow trading asset, so it's going to take time. We can also go to the daily. So like I said here, you do have a bounce coming off this 50% with a deep green dot, stochastic pointed up. More likely than not, this is likely just going to be a lower high that is formed on the DXY before continuing on lower, and you can just stick to the higher time frames for it. Okay, there's going to be short-term volatility, like always, any asset, but the grand scheme of things, this is a bearish looking chart. You have a high, lower high, lower high. There was a low here, and potentially lower lows are going to be made with this candle closure there was last week. Okay, so this is pretty important because the DXY has an inverse correlation to risk assets such as Bitcoin, the stock market, crypto. Okay, so if the DXY is breaking down, it puts strength into the equity market, the stock market, and crypto. Okay, so if you're a bull, you're rooting for this to go down, and the probabilities are on that side. Moving on to tether dominance. This is just for crypto. Okay, this is the dominance of the stablecoin tether. So the 2 week chart. I remember making a video about this and a post on Twitter back in March, when Bitcoin topped around 74K, whatever it was. And I said that there's likely going to be a high put in for Bitcoin and crypto for a little bit. There's going to probably be a bounce off this trend line for Tether, which has been a trend line for all the way since back 2017. Okay, so, but I don't believe the top was in, and I still don't believe the top is in. So what happened? Well, a lower high. Okay, you got a high, lower high, and yet another lower high. Okay, and let me turn off my Discord. Okay, so Tether dominance found resistance in this box here. I've had on for since March. Okay, since I was started charting this back then. And we also got candle closures under this resistance box, and also found resistance at the 21, 50, and getting closures under the 100 2-week EMA. Okay, so more likely than not, Tether dominance does trade on down and hits this trend line again. And Tether can chop around here, kind of like that, for the coming months, okay, while crypto does its thing and continues the bull run. And I do believe that crypto is entering its, at least Bitcoin's entering its last phase of the market cycle, which is that parabolic phase. So we'll see how the end of the year shapes up. I do expect 2024 to continue on beautifully bullish for crypto and stocks. Okay, and then we'll see what the charts look like in the coming months. But as of right now, a lot of this is pointing to more upside, bullish continuation for equities and crypto. Okay, you got to keep it simple. There's nothing bearish about this chart at all. Okay, or sorry, there's nothing bullish about tether dominance. There's a bunch of stuff bullish for crypto, right? The opposite, because this is an inverse correlated thing. Okay, and again, on the weekly, you deviated over the 200 weekly EMA with candle closures under this resistance box, and now you're likely going to have a weekly closure under the 200 weekly EMA and the weekly 21 EMA. Weekly red dot, money flow is red, VWAP is about to go negative with stochastic pointed down. All the signs are there to more upside for crypto and tether dominance to continue a little dump and probably range chop on this trend line for the coming months. Okay, till the end of the year, something like that. Okay, so going on to S&P. Go on to the S&P now. And this is just keep it simple here. I'm going to a 2-week time frame for the S&P 500. So a general rule to follow is with EMAs, okay, when price gets too far away from the EMAs, it has to come back to it, okay? It acts like a magnet, okay? It can't really get too far away without coming back to it and kind of having a little reset. So right now, the S&P 500 is quite a bit away from the 2-week 21 EMA. More likely than not, S&P can chop around sideways, come down a little bit, chop around sideways, okay, come close enough to this 21 2-week EMA, let it catch up before continuing the bull run, okay, for new all-time highs. All right, and I can pull up a Fibonacci here and talk about some support levels. All right, and that would bring me down to the daily. I'm going to move this over. Have hiccups. Okay, so some key support levels to look for on the S&P 500. I'm going to turn off the EMAs now. Is going to be a golden pocket level of support, which is between $537.92 and $540.20. Okay, then there's also the 50% retracement, which should act as strong support at $529.51. And if from the high to the golden pocket level, that would be almost a 5% move. 50% retracement would be a 6.3% move to the downside. Now, it's definitely possible the S&P can get down to the 382 as well. That's almost an 8%, and then almost a 10% move to the 236, which that would be okay. Okay, I've seen stats posted on Twitter that during bull runs for the S&P, it can have 5 to 10% pullbacks before continuing on higher. Do I think it's going to go down 10% this time? I don't fucking know. I doubt it though. Okay, this is a really strong uptrend, and I would personally be looking for the 50% retracement, which is another 3.6% away. Okay, and this would be a 5% move from the high, I believe, right? So a 6.3% move. So completely valid for a healthy pullback before continuing for all-time highs. Okay, and it could just chop around a little bit before continuing on higher. Okay, that's just a little drawing I made. I don't know how price action is going to look. I'm just looking at key support levels, okay, that can act as very good support. So overall, S&P is still extremely bullish. 2-week time frame, there are bearish divergences forming, okay, but these take a long time to play out for the S&P 500 during a bull run. Okay, and it's more so seeable on the weekly time frame because money flow is still very much thick. It's at 37. Okay, this bull run still has a good amount of time to go until it starts getting toppy. I say that because when money flows this thick on market cipher B, it usually means bullish continuation, but weaknesses such as bearish divergences will start to form over time. And this is a weekly time frame, so it's going to take some time for it to play out and get toppish. All right, but the signs are starting to get there, but it's not there yet. It's not time to start going top, in my opinion. Okay, there's still plenty amount of time before that happens. Okay, so going on to the IWM, this is a beautiful chart. Now, that weekly fucking wick is ugly as hell, but hey, you got weekly candle closures, 2 weekly candle closures inside this all-time high range. Okay, that's a very good look because more likely than not, price will eventually see the top of this range at 234 and likely push for new all-time highs on the IWM. And for those who don't know, this is the Russell 2000. It's basically an ETF of basically altcoins, but for stocks. Okay, it's small caps. So more on the risk scale, higher on the risk scale than something like the S&P 500 and NASDAQ companies. Okay, but this is a good sign that this thing is pumping as hard as it is, and kind of pretty much catching up to the S&P 500 and NASDAQ because the IWM was significantly undervalued, so to say, compared to them. Okay, so that means money's rotating now because this is going hard, while S&P and NASDAQ are kind of just going down a little bit, retracing. So money flow is rotating from bigger caps to small caps, and that's a good sign for an overall bull market continuation. Take a fucking shot how many times I say that this video because I can't say it enough. There's really not many signs to not be allocated in this market. If you are not, you're fucking up. Okay, not my financial advice, just my opinion. Clear as day on the chart. So we can talk about some retracement levels on the IWM. We'll go on the daily chart. So more likely than not, I would expect strong support at 210. Okay, somewhere around there. Maybe even a gap fill down to 203 in the IWM. But it would be very good if the IWM can find strong support while holding inside this top range. Okay, so that will come in at around 210. If I pull up a Fibonacci, top to the bottom of this move, again, 50% retracement is going to be in at around 212, and then the 382 at 208, 236 would be a gap fill at 204. Okay, so lower 200s around the 204 to 210 could be found as support on the IWM before potentially continuing higher. But overall, IWM is very bullish. Okay, it's very bullish that money is rotating into small caps. All right, you also have 2 week stochastic pointed out by money flow and VWAP and momentum waves as well, with no 2 week bearish divergence. Okay, short term there will be volatility, but the overall trend is up. Keep it simple. Onto NVDA. So this was, well, what the hell is this? This was before the stock split. That's stuff I had before. All right, took that off. So I'm going to go onto a daily time frame here for NVDA. And I'm just going to go into price action. Keep it simple. So what I have here is two Fibonacci levels. Let me see if I can move this over just to keep it, and then I'll bring it over and just keep it a little bit cleaner. Okay, so at first I had a Fibonacci level pulled up from the all-time high at 140.76 all the way down to a swing low at 118.04. Okay, and we found a lower high rejection at the 786 to the T and downside continuation. So now we have to look for levels to the downside. That was a lower high, and we're likely going to make a lower low under the 118. So there's plenty of support for NVIDIA to the downside. Okay, and I'm just going to delete this fib now. So if NVIDIA does break under 118.04 and 116.42, which is the daily 50 EMA, the next level to look for it will be $104 to the T. Okay, that's 1.618 target to the downside. And also a previous all-time high, also a breakout level at $97.40. Hey, those are the two key levels I will have for NVIDIA to look for long entries. In my opinion, for me, not financial advice, you do what you want to do. But for me, I'll be looking to add some long entries at 104 and $97.40 on NVIDIA, looking for even just a very short term action, or you could swing it and likely NVIDIA does make new all-time highs again this market cycle. Okay, but if not, these are two very key levels of support to find, in my opinion, great action for a trade. Okay, reaction for a trade to the upside. Okay, very simple on NVIDIA. Now going on to crypto. So I'll start off with Bitcoin, of course. I'm going to go on to the 22-hour time frame. So what do we see here? Well, money flow in the 22-hour just went positive. It's green. And so is VWAP. There's also no bearish divergence yet on the 22-hour. We probably will have one, but it could get invalidated. But if we do, I wouldn't be surprised. We have a high and a higher high on price with a red dot here and potentially a red dot to form in the coming couple of days. And that would probably bring us to have a correction, a short-term correction next week for crypto. Okay, but nothing crazy in my opinion. All right, nothing too crazy. I'm not talking about breaking lows at 53K or even breaking under 60K. All right, Bitcoin has considerable strength right now. Okay, so to go on the daily, I'll just go on price action. We can talk about some support levels. If Bitcoin did find a short-term top at 67,607, well, we'll look at support levels. So we have a golden pocket level of support at 62,000.6 and 62,000.2. We also have a 50% retracement at 60.5K. And in my opinion, Bitcoin should hold 60,000.5, if not higher, such as the golden pocket level of support at 62K. If those levels start to break a little bit iffy, definitely weakness. Okay, on the higher time frame closures, such as the daily and higher. But we did deviate back into this range, so I do expect these key levels to hold, the golden pocket and 50% retracement. All right, if we go on to a higher time frame, such as the weekly, I'm going to take off this Fibonacci. This is a beautiful looking fucking weekly. All right, we have a green dot that is soon to confirm tomorrow, Sunday, and weekly stochastic pointed up with VWAP just going positive and money flow continued point upward. The last time we had a weekly green dot in the negative region, so under the zero line, was back September 25th, 2023. Okay, it's very bullish. Very bullish. With the deviation back inside the range. More likely than not, in the coming weeks, we will see Bitcoin test the top half of this range, 73K, and potentially break out for new all-time highs. All right, it's just the likely scenario, because what you also have on the daily time frame is a break, a trendline break. Okay, this happened earlier this week. You had a trendline break. All right, you also have daily EMAs curving upwards. It's a very bullish look for Bitcoin. All right, strong continuation signs here. If I go to a 2-week time frame, you found a very nice, Bitcoin found a very nice bounce off the 21 2-week EMA. It still pointed up as well. The signs are there for bullish continuation. It's very hard for me to understand how people are bearish on this market, on Bitcoin. I can't comprehend it. Right? It's right here in front of all of our faces. Just got to keep it simple. The 2-week time frame also does not yet have a green dot printing on Bitcoin. Okay, VWAP is still negative. It's curving up nicely though, and money flow is still green. Stochastic hasn't even started to curve yet on the 2-week. I expect likely next week or minimum the following 2-week candle, so 2 weeks from now, this green dot does start to print and confirm. Okay, and if that's the case, Bitcoin's likely going to be at the top half of this range or at a new all-time high. And that green dot, when it does confirm, is likely going to give us a great push and potentially a bearish divergence on market cipher B. Okay, but if you are positioned now or even before, well, you just gotta let this puppy ride. All right, all the signs are there for bullish continuation. Just got to keep it quite fucking simple. It's not rocket science here. Okay, the downside probabilities are very low, and the upside probabilities are very high. Okay, if I even go down on the 22-hour time frame, again, you have the EMAs curving. The 21 is pointed up very nicely. We can find support at 63,000, which is the 21 on the 22-hour time frame, and Bitcoin can grind on higher. All right, it's a very good look when money flow is going green on these higher time frames, 22-hour and above. Okay, so very simple. I expect Bitcoin to trade in the top half of this range and possibly, very likely, break a new all-time high, likely within the next 30 to 60 days, in my opinion, but we'll see. I could be totally wrong. Nonetheless, by end of year, I do expect Bitcoin to very much be higher. Also, really quick, I have the Bitcoin USD chart on the index. I can turn on logarithmic and I'll go to a monthly time frame. So as we can see here, Bitcoin is likely entering its last phase of the market cycle. Okay, if we can get a monthly close above $68,997, another one, we're likely going to enter this last phase of the market cycle where Bitcoin does go parabolic, okay, in this white box. And my targets are around $120,000 to $140,000 Bitcoin. Bitcoin can definitely go higher. I don't know where it tops out at, but nonetheless, Bitcoin is likely entering its last phase of the market cycle. You had bullish continuation here on the monthly time frame. All right. However the fuck you want to, pattern bros want to draw this out. Nonetheless, this right here is bullish reaccumulation before continuing on higher. Okay, that's likely what this is. So keep it simple. Bitcoin is extremely bullish. Solana, beautiful looking chart. This 2-week candle, if it can get closure over this trend line of resistance and 50% of this range, Solana is going to be pushing for that 210 level. And after 210, it's going to be the all-time high at 259. All right. That's a 2-week time frame. Very similar to Bitcoin here. Money flow is about to go green, with VWAP just about to go positive and stochastic on the 2 weeks starting to curve, but no green dot yet. But when this does confirm, likely it does, Solana will be much higher than it is right now, and the bull run would continue. Okay, I go on to the weekly. The weekly closes in the next 1 day and 2 hours for Sol. If Sol can get a weekly candle closure above the 50% retracement of this range, which comes in at 163, and above this trend line of resistance around 170, that's a very good look. Also with a green dot confirmation, money flow pointed up, VWAP and stochastic as well. Solana looks very strong here for a reversal, a trend reversal. Okay, the trend has been to the downside. You can tell from this resistance line that is drawn here in yellow. And right now it is breaking above. Okay, I go into the daily time frame. It's very possible that Solana does find short-term resistance, maybe gets choppy, but as I said, as long as Sol is holding above 163, and especially this trend line of resistance around 168, Solana is very bullish and likely continues to trade upward to the top half of this range around 210, and have a breakout potentially and going for all-time highs at 259. Okay, very simple on Sol. Daily money flow is coming up. It's still red, not green yet. If I go down to the 22-hour, it is green and pointed up very nicely. Okay, no 22-hour bearish divergences as well. Okay, all good signs for bullish continuation on Solana. And I also made a post on Sol, I think I want to say 2 weeks ago, showing that I think it was the weekly time frame, I believe. But last market cycle, Sol started to go. You can see here, really quick, at the end of July as well. Okay, is history gonna repeat here? Possibly, very, very, very much possibly. You look here, Solana kind of just ranged. Wait, I need the rectangle. Solana ranged from April to really August, but the uptrend started in July, the end of July. Okay, we're at the end of July now. So back in 2021 market cycle, that's when Solana started its reversal from a price at $23 all the way up to $260. Okay, $259. Okay, 260 just around it. So if we're doing something similar here, this next run up on Solana could very much go past these all-time highs at 259 and go much higher. We can pull up targets, just out the wazoo, out of my booty hole, and because everybody loves price targets, so why not? Why the fuck not? At Bitcoin, if Solana does break all-time high at 259, the first target's going to be $415, and the next target would be 667. All right, that's the 1.618 and 2.618. By end of the year, I do, in my opinion, expect Sol to be between $400 to $700. Okay, it can happen very quick. Okay, all it takes is a couple months for a parabolic move like this to happen. We will see. On to Jupiter. This is a beta play to Sol. If Sol's up 10%, this thing's going to be up 15 to 20%. Okay, it's the number one DEX in crypto. It's only on Sol. It's an aggregator. It's a beautiful project in my opinion. And I would say if you don't have Solana or Jupiter in your portfolio, you're fucking up. Not financial advice. So, what do I see here on Jupiter? Well, there was definitely a trend line of resistance that was broken. It was a pennant, okay, and it broke out bullishly. EMAs are all crossing up. Money flow is now positive with no bearish divergences on the 22-hour. The measure move target for this pennant breakout is $2.14. Okay, so get that out the way first. If we go to a daily time frame just to have a simpler look, again, EMAs have been broken and are starting to curve up very nicely. Can Jupe chop around a little bit and consolidate? Yes. It's had a very strong week and a half or so. Okay, just like the rest of the market, I wouldn't be surprised if this coming week we have some sort of retracement or consolidation before continuing on higher. Okay, but first levels to look for, since Jupiter did break out of this pennant, it's going to be the 50% retracement from the all-time high to the swing low here at $63.50. The 50% comes in at $1.24. Okay, golden pocket resistance comes in at $1.42 and $1.38. Above these two levels, I do expect Jupe to break its all-time high at $1.84 and go for new highs. And new high targets are going to be this measure move at 214 and $2.67 at the 1.618 and higher. Well, you can see here, you can talk about $3.92, $5.17, and $5.94 on Jupe. Do those hit? I have no fucking clue. Nonetheless, this is a very bullish looking chart. Daily money flow isn't even green yet, but it's having beautiful curvature with momentum waves positive and no bearish divergences forming yet. Signaling there's no weakness to this current reversal rally that we have going on Jupiter, and pullbacks are likely for buying, not financial advice. Okay, going on to Dogecoin. This is one of my favorite coins this cycle. Okay. Going on to a 22-hour time frame, as you can see, money flow just started to curve inwards positively. Okay, on the 22-hour. But if I go to a 1 week, I really just want to stick to higher time frame on this coin. And I'm going to take off these. Actually, no, I'm not, because that's for the logarithmic chart. Okay, but Dogecoin had acceptance over its 200 weekly EMA and also acceptance back in this range. Okay, the range between 22,850 and 12,001. Okay, and since we did get acceptance back in this range, and we are going to print a green dot here on the weekly tomorrow with stochastic, VWAP, and money flow all positive, and those things are curving up. Well, Dogecoin likely will trade at the top half of this range and potentially break out. And the top half of this range is at 22,850. Okay. As of right now, Dogecoin is finding a little bit of resistance at the 21 weekly EMA, which is fine. It's had a very strong move up the past couple of weeks. Okay. But nonetheless, there's higher time frame signals that are showing Dogecoin had a breakout and reversal, and it likely trades towards 17.5 cents in the top half of this range in the coming weeks, maybe to a month or two for Doge. Okay, just keep it very, very simple. Okay, those are the first two targets for Dogecoin to the upside, 17.5 cents and 22,850. Now, if Dogecoin does indeed break above these levels, well, Doge could get to 30-cent plus. So 33 cents and 38 cents. In my opinion, Doge does go higher, and I'll pull up the logarithmic chart now and pull up a monthly. Okay, zoom in a bit here. So I'm looking at Dogecoin on the monthly chart now on the logarithmic style. So if the monthly candle for their Dogecoin closes like this, that's a bullish hammer candle on the monthly for Doge, and that's extremely fucking bullish. Okay, there's no doubt about that. That's a fact. Now, I do believe Dogecoin does go for new highs, all the way up to $1 plus. In my opinion, it goes between $1.85 and $3 a cycle. And I did make a video, I believe it was 2 months ago, just a solely only Dogecoin video. When Bitcoin breaks new highs, okay, and continues, that's when Dogecoin has its breakout as well. Okay, for new highs. That's the start of Dogecoin going for new all-time highs. Is it yet again happening? Potentially. Okay. So what I have here is all-time high to the start of the breakout to a new all-time high in like the next cycle for Dogecoin. First time around, it took 1,155 days. Second time around, it took 1,035 days. If Dogecoin were to start this now in this current month, that would put a measured, that would put 1,157 days. Okay, that's right around these 2 days here, or 2 previous cycles for the breakouts for Dogecoin. All right, and what I have here is all-time high to a new all-time high. All right, for each cycle, the previous 2 cycles. And the first time was to the first all-time high to the second all-time high was 1,461 days. Second time around was 1,216 days. If you take kind of the average between that, it's probably going to be, I think it was what I have here, around 1,300 something days. So potentially we can see a new all-time high either by the end of this year, between October to January of 2025. Okay, October 2024 to January 2025. So not too far away. It's the coming months. And when Dogecoin does decide to rally and go for new all-time highs, that's indeed what it's going to do. It happens very quickly. It's better to be positioned in it rather than time it. Okay, that's all I got to say about Doge. Going on to Bitfarms. So I have here the daily on Bitfarms. And as we can see here, it looks like it's starting to consolidate a bit in a pennant. All right. And it could get tight here all the way up until September. Okay. Do I think it does that? No, I do believe it starts to break out in the coming weeks to a month or so. Especially if Bitcoin does as well. But there's no doubt about it. There is a trend line of resistance. Okay. It's found resistance 3 times so far. This previous time was at 314 or 315 on Bitfarms. But we are having some signs of support at the golden pocket from this swing high to low. All right, May 13th low to the high of June 20th. Golden pocket is at 261, 266, and the 50% retracement's at 240. Okay. I also have this orange box of support, which was a previous fib zone that found support before, and that was here between the 50% and the 382 level. Okay, so it's definitely possible that maybe it's not a pennant, instead it's just a trendline resistance, and Bitfarms just kind of chops around here, okay, before going for a breakout. Okay, that's also very possible. Nonetheless, this is a good looking chart, and historically speaking, Bitcoin miners do tend to outperform Bitcoin after the Bitcoin halving, and I'd say it's usually around like a couple months after the Bitcoin halving that they really start to outperform, and we're getting in that time period now. Okay. Also, a measured move of that pennant breakout I have here would be $5.24 for Bitfarms. If that were to happen, that would have acceptance above the 1618, which comes in at 437. And if that's the case, more likely than not, the 2.618 gets met, which comes in at $6.13. Okay. But again, just like these other altcoins, Bitcoin, S&P, these charts all have bullish continuation signs, and bull consolidation likely dips are met by buy demand. Okay, so not financial advice, do with that what you will. All right, overall, Bitfarms is very bullish, and the market cycle likely continues. You also have positive VWAP, money flow now green, with stochastic momentum was pointed up. In my opinion, it's just a matter of time before Bitfarms does indeed head on higher in the coming weeks to months. Going on to Coinbase, this will be my last chart to go over. I'm going to go down on a daily time frame and then work my way up to the 2-week. So I'm going to take off that fucking fib. A bit of a lot going on here, but what do we have? Sorry, I'm gonna make this fucking clean because there's a lot going on. So I'll take off this Fibonacci and this one as well. Okay, so we have a pennant consolidation that Coinbase has been in since March. Okay, and last Friday, this past Friday does seem to have been going for a breakout on Coinbase, but we do need more closures above. All right, it's very well possible that Coinbase does find some consolidations, maybe some downside, okay, next week, because it has had a good couple of weeks, all right, before continuing on higher, just like Bitcoin, okay, but nonetheless, this is a bullish setup, okay, for Coinbase. While Bitcoin made a low in May, all right, so did Coinbase, but the second low here at the beginning of this month, Bitcoin made a lower low than the May low, but Coinbase held a higher low. That's very bullish. Okay, that shows that Coinbase is likely to outperform Bitcoin in this next run up. Okay, and the measured move to the upside is 407. Okay, what would invalidate this is really just a break under 207, in my opinion. That would invalidate this setup. All right, that could also just mean more choppy sideways price action if Coinbase does indeed go down there again. But more likely than not, Coinbase will not. Going on to the weekly, and why I don't believe so, is this weaker candle close. You had weekly candle close inside these wicks. Okay, that's a bullish look. Okay, especially above the trend line. Is it possible that Coinbase comes down next week? Finds a little bit of retracement? Yes. But support would likely be found at the 50%, comes in at 233, at 382, at 227. Okay, even a golden pocket of support at 241 and 239. There is very good support for Coinbase if it does indeed have a bit of retracement in the coming week. Okay, but when market does open on Monday, this weekly green dot on Coinbase will confirm, as well as stochastic to the upside, VWAP positive, and money flow positive as well. Okay, it's all good signs for Coinbase to have bullish continuation and look for new upside targets. If Coinbase does indeed break out to the upside here, okay, like I said, a measured move for this pennant breakout is at 407. And look at this confluence. If you pull up a Fibonacci from this high I made last week to the low of the move at 207, well, the measured move of this breakout does bring you between the 3.618 and 4.236. Okay, this also brings you to the all-time high, the IPO high for Coinbase. All right, higher time frame. This is a very bullish looking chart. Okay, there's nothing too bearish about this. Going on to a 2-week. Going to take off this fib. Again, by next week, this 2-week will have a confirming candle, likely above this trend line in my opinion, but we really want to see a 2-week candle above 244 confirm. All right, if that's the case, we're likely going to have a green dot start to print on the 2-week candle for Coinbase, with 2-week stochastic and VWAP and money flow all pointed up, turning positive. Very bullish sign. No 2-week bearish divergence as well on momentum waves, but you do have them forming on stochastic, but they're still quite a ways away for the stochastic to meet this trend line. In my opinion, Coinbase is a very good buy here, even for calls. Just a very good swing trade setup here, okay, for bullish continuation. Not financial advice, but it is what it is for the bears, okay? It pays to be bullish when all these charts are looking so fucking beautiful. All right, so I'll leave it there with that, guys. I think this might be my longest video I've made. If you've watched till the end, thank you. And yeah, peace out. Hope everybody fucking stays profitable, and see you in the next one. Peace.